Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a Lenovo V145 laptop here, and it's got a busted charger jack. Let me get a nice close-up on that and actually focus. So the end of the charger broke off inside the jack on this one. Don't know if the laptop was dropped or what. Normally this would just mean that you need a new charger. There we go, there's the focus. Normally this would just mean that you just need a new charger that doesn't have the end snapped off. But unfortunately, to try and fish out the fragments of it, they went for the superglue technique. Now, hands up in the comments, anyone who's ever seen this work. What you do is you get a pin or a toothpick or a cocktail stick or something like that, and you put a little bit of glue into the connector, you glue the stick onto the end, and then you pull the contents out. The theory sounds good, but I've tried it once or twice, and I've seen many people try it, never seen it work. What usually happens is what's happened here is that they've used liquid super glue, like this stuff, which is very much just a liquid, and that liquid will immediately flow into all of the cracks and weld the whole thing into a solid block of plastic. So yeah, now we just have a completely gummed up connector, and now we need a new charger and a new DC jack. So yeah, a not massively expensive repair, or rather not massively expensive charger is now an expensive repair. So yeah, if anyone knows a better solution to that, I'd be interested to hear your ideas as well, because like, I probably would have tried to go in there with tweezers, but I don't know, it's hit and miss. Sometimes you can get the tweezers in there, sometimes you can't. So yeah. Right, in the meantime though, we've got to get that DC jack out. So the screws were already removed on this laptop when I got it. And I have already unclipped the cover because I took a look in order to see what kind of DC jack I needed to purchase. So let's just take this back off. Now the catch with this is, unlike most modern laptops, this has a soldered-in DC jack. And focus. Now, a soldered-on DC jack is very uncommon these days. The vast majority of brands have all gotten wise to this and now use DC jacks that are on a little fly lead. Because this used to be the norm, and they stopped doing it because obviously broken DC jacks, pretty common issue. And when the broken DC jack is soldered to the motherboard, that's a royal pain to fix. Whereas when it's on a little fly lead, easy peasy, it's just an assembly job. But unfortunately, Lenovo are one of the few holdout brands that still use a soldered-on DC jack on a couple of their lower-end laptops, and this is one of them. So this is a terrible idea because A, if the DC jack gets broken internally, then it's a board repair job. And in addition to that, a very common fault is the DC jack's fatigue, and this pin at the back will snap or fracture. That's also a very common issue as well. I have seen some DC jacks where they've put a little wiggle on that, so it's like a spring to try and alleviate that. But again, it's just dodging the problem. Just put it on a fly lead. Don't ever do this, laptop designers. It's an obsolete concept, completely obsolete. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take the motherboard out and we're going to desolder that DC jack and put a new one on. I have already got the new one on hand. I've pre-ordered it. So here's one I bought earlier. So let's get this motherboard out and we can get to work on that. Poxy little battery. This laptop arguably is not worth the amount of hassle it will be to fix. I really hate these low-end laptops because you open them up and you're just like, good grief, this thing was built out. Like, what is this? I've seen phones with bigger batteries with this. Ugh. However, there's money to be made, so I shall make some money. It's still cheaper to repair this than for the customer to buy a new one. And so if they want to go with the fix, that's up to them. At least it's got 8 gigs of RAM. So, as per my comments there, in generally speaking, laptop repair, you're not going to come across a soldered-on DC jack like this very often. But just in case you do, there are a couple of approaches you can take to this. I'm going to use a hot air station, which is definitely the easiest way to do it. If you don't have a hot air station, it is possible to soldering iron hero one of these. You could get some low melt solder and reflow all these anchor points with low melt solder, which might allow you to get all 4 or all 5 of the points flowing at the same time and lift the DC jack out. Or failing that, an old and very dirty method that I used to use was to get some side cutters and literally just cut, either with a Dremel or with side cutters, literally just cut all the anchor points, so you're left with just the positive pin. Then desolder the positive pin, that's your plug out, and then you just use some tweezers to just single pin remove all the remaining pins. And then clear the holes with some wick, and that's it, you're done. Put in the new jack, resolder. However, that's a lot of legwork, that method. It's not a method that I'd recommend. It's just something you can do if you don't have the correct tools for the job. However, I'm going to go straight in with hot air here. So we're just going to warm this whole area up and lift it out. I'm going to angle in this direction so we don't do any damage to this guy. If I see that guy getting harmed, I tell you what, actually, just to please the comments, I'll stick some Captain tape on there anyway. Some good aim with the hot air gun should negate the need to do any protection here, but we'll do it anyway because we can. So I'll get some of this Captain tape. Put that there. There we go. That's actually masked off quite nicely. And in for a penny, in for a pound, we'll stick some across the Ethernet port as well. There we go. That's some basic protection in place. Good. Let's go. Right, I'm going in maximum air, 450 degrees, and I'm going to get some tweezers. We're going to heat up the area, and hopefully this should come out of its own accord. Am I going to weigh this down? I need a board holder, really, but I don't have one. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my solder spool on top of the board, just so there's something to weigh the board down. There we go. Right, here comes the hot air. I'm just going to sort of blow around the general area first and just preheat the board, just so we don't completely culture shock it. I want to dodge those LEDs as well. In fact, I'm going to quickly mask off those 2 LEDs, because LEDs don't like heat. You've got to get in and out with those guys. I definitely want some protection over those. They'll tolerate the heat, but they will discolor, which is a bit, you know, it's not very nice. I'd like to avoid that. All right, here we go again. And I can smell the super glue in this already. That's putting some nice fumes into the air. I'm not getting a very good grip on the port here because I can't get my tweezers in. Front anchors are done. Rear anchors are done, and we're out. There we go. Oof, I can smell that. I can smell that super glue burning. Horror, nasty stuff that is. I don't mind a little bit of soldering fumes, a little bit of flux fumes. They're not good for you, so don't sniff them or anything. But I can tolerate them. But CS, cyanoacrylate, which is one of the active components of a lot of super glue, when that burns, ooh, you'll know it. You'll know it. Okay, right, I want to clear these holes. So, I'm going to quickly just see if I can go in there with my solder wick first. If not, I'll get the desoldering gun out. It's kind of funny, I bought the desoldering gun for exactly jobs like these, and I never see them anymore. So, yeah. Right, so I'm going to flow a little bit of fresh solder into these holes, which might seem counterintuitive considering I want to clear them. but it adds a bit of fluxed solder, lowers the melting point a little bit with leaded solder, and it just makes this bit a little bit easier. We're going to add a little bit and then take it all out again. There we go. That's that. Now I'm going to lob some extra flux on there, and we should be able to just wick these guys empty. If not, I'll, as I say, I'll get out my desoldering gun and we'll fire that bad boy up instead. Which will probably be quicker, actually. I don't know why I haven't already done it, but we are now committed to this method. Oh no, those are going to give me trouble. So that desoldering gun, go. Of course, another entirely valid solution here is that I don't clear the holes and I just hot air in the new one. However, I don't really like doing that because it's very difficult to get everything perfectly on the flat and level. It can be done. I just really like it when I can clear the holes, because then the new socket just drops in. And you can just put on fresh solder and it's wonderful and you get a really perfect finish, and I really like it. So, as I say, hot airing a new one in, absolutely possible. I just really like to clear the holes if I can. Makes me feel a lot better. Oh, I think my nozzle's too big. Almost. There we go. That one went. That's 2 out of 5. I'm going to try from the other side of the board. No, that was good. Oh, I just got that one there. How many was it? There we go. I think we just got all of them. Let's inspect. Just about. The back anchor holes aren't quite clear, but I think that's probably done enough. Let's see if our new DC jack will just drop into there now. Okay, replacement DC jack, which I purchased from eBay. Alright, that back anchor point that wasn't quite clear is a little bit stiff, but I think a little bit of encouragement with some pliers will fix that. There we go. There we go. Dead flat. Now we'll just solder those boys in and we get our factory finish. And I think I'll just get the tops as well. There's solder underneath there, however, better too much than too little for something like this. I could do with using my knife edge tip for this. There we go. There we go. Putting more solder onto the tip of the eye and then onto the actual point there. But the job is done. That one's not very good. Let's just reflow that guy. There we go. Okay, let's remove the Captain tape. Spray some alcohol on there to clean up. There we go, like I bought one. Oh, close enough anyway. There's a little... Oh, no. Oh, okay. There's a couple of little stray wispy bits there. And I'm like, all right. I'll see if I can just fix that. This is like if you're trying to do welding on YouTube. If you're not doing perfect diamonds, then everyone will criticize you. And just as a sanity check, once I'm done putting a new DC jack on, I just put my multimeter into continuity mode, into beep mode, and I just check that we don't have any shorts. Which we don't. No beeps, which is good. Because like we didn't see any reason for it to have happened here, but one thing that can catch you out is that if you catch it at the wrong angle, you might get there might be like a join in the casing of the DC jack, and solder can just flow into that crack, flow into the jack, and just suddenly the jack is internally filled with solder. This can definitely happen when you're doing like USB micro ports and stuff like that. So I always just do a quick sanity check, just a quick beep test, just to make sure that it's not full of solder or something daft. Let's get some screws back into this guy. And also, just because if I'm going to do all the things to please people, we'll check the thermal paste as well. The thermal paste did not need touching. Now I have to clean it and replace it. Oh, really? There we go. Look at the mess that I've made of that. Tell me it matters. I dare you. There was a screw in there. That screw has a big old X next to it, which means we don't put a screw in there. That's going to come through the chassis. And then the battery needs to be screwed in. Yes. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And oh, screen. I needed to plug the display in before the battery. Do as I say, not as I do. Right, and bottom case. Let's just check the hinge screws while we're here. Pretty good. But just put a little bit of nick into all of those. There we go. Right, there's the laptop started up, and as you can see, if that wants to open, we are plugged in and on charge. There we go. Perfect. Right, that's it. That's all I got for you. I'll tell you what, I'll wipe it down because I know you guys like that as well. Glass cleaner. As usual, Tesco window and glass. I've had comments from people saying that glass cleaner will damage LCDs. It wouldn't surprise me if some glass cleaners can damage LCDs. However, I've only ever used Tesco store brand window and glass cleaner. I've used it for years, including on my own laptops, and I've never seen it damage them. So you might want to just check what kind of glass cleaners are around. I hear that some stuff like Windex can be a bit more abrasive. However, if it's just water and vinegar, should be no problem at all. And a little bit of Mr. Sheen multi-surface polish to finish up. And As I've said before, we use this on the plastics and we use this on the casing, but don't spray this onto the LCD unless it's glass fronted. Glass fronted doesn't mind Mr. Sheen, but a bare LCD does not like Mr. Sheen. It'll smear to hell. Probably won't damage it, but it will leave a mess. And this will make everything lovely and smooth and smell nice. There we go. And also again, my usual forewarning, if this is called an island keyboard where there is land between the keys. If you don't have an island keyboard, be very careful when scrubbing it like a cloth like I was doing. If you catch it at the wrong angle, you'll rip a whole load of keys off the keyboard. So don't scrub when you don't have an island keyboard. You have to be much more careful with those. Anyway, there we go. Lovely and smooth. Right, and with that, we're all done with this one. So thank you very much for watching. As always, my support links will be down in the description below for my Patreon, my Discord, my Twitter, and my Instagram, which I sometimes post to. Or stick around for the end card, and I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.